how topical is nutrition and behavior change at the moment? How often do we get asked about this? But I was reflecting, how often are we not asked about this, but maybe it's super pertinent anyway? So introducing those topics and supporting our patients really, really important. Now, this is a sponsored session with Oviva, and we've got two wonderful speakers in Lucy and Juliet are going to be speaking to us all around this topic. And throughout, if you've got any questions, I want you to pop them in the Q&A box. We'll be having a good look at those, and we'll be asking them at the end as well. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in there. There isn't a chat. Otherwise, put them in the Q&A. If you're having any problems sort of hearing or joining or whatever, please go to the FAQs. And I understand that there might be some trickiness with some Apple products. If that's the case, if you can join on a PC, that often solves the problem. But hopefully all will go smoothly. So thank you to Oviva for sponsoring this session. Thank you for Juliet and Lucy. I'm going to let them introduce themselves further. And thank you everybody for joining. Welcome, Lucy and Juliet.
Amazing. Thank you for the intro, James. I think I would have rather not known how many people were in the sessions. I thought it was just me in my kitchen having a chat this morning. But thank you so much for the intro. Good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning. It is. Might not be enough other places you're dialing in for. So as James said, today we're going to be exploring how nutrition, lifestyle, behaviour change should and can be integrated into the MDT approach to obesity care. So our focus is on growing the role of weight loss medication in weight management, but crucially, we're not going to be talking just about the medication itself. Our emphasis is really around why sustainable changes in diet, activity, and behaviour are really fundamental to long-term health outcomes in this arena. As you can see there on the slide, that's me, Lucy Diamond. I am VP for Clinical Outcomes here at Oviva. Background is a diabetes and weight management specialist dietitian, did a decade in the NHS, and for the last 10 years, I have been here at Oviva. Also joined by a very good colleague of mine that I've worked with for 8 years in this space, our clinical expert dietitian for our Tier 3 service here at Oviva. And today, hopefully, we'll be able to share the evidence, practical insights, and most importantly, patient achievements and insights to bring this topic to life. As you can see there, that's our agenda. So we'll begin with really setting the scene. It's probably all information you already know in that first arena of the rationale for treating obesity, exploring GLP-1 and other weight loss medications. But most importantly, we're going to spend the bulk of this morning really focusing on that nutrition and lifestyle support, what that looks like in practice. We'll touch on our digital tools that we use here and that hot topic of AI, enabling personalized care and scalable care. And then we'll come back to that patient focus and what people are achieving here on our programs. And with the help of James, we're going to wrap up with a Q&A. And as he said, please submit questions as you go. So a very, very quick intro about who Oviva is. So we are very proud to be one of the leading providers of NHS weight management services. And our mission is really to make sure that care is both accessible and effective for people living with weight-related conditions. As you can see there, we deliver across the full pathway from prevention to early intervention and then right through to our intensive Tier 3 weight management program that we're going to be touching on today. We'll talk about our digital tools, but our digital first doesn't mean without a human. It's very much that collaboration between digital and human, which allows more people to access the care and really tailoring it to their individual needs. As you can see here, we're a busy company, busy service. It's been a real growth over this last decade. So we now treat over 8,000 people every month across our different programs. And since the beginning of my time here, since 2016, we've supported more than 300,000 people in the UK. We also work across Germany and Switzerland, and collectively across the markets, we've helped support over 1 million people to date. As you can see there, we're active in England in 42 of the ICBs, and we're really proud today to be able to present some of our outcomes in our Tier 3 weight management service. We've stuck true to our guns from the beginning. We have been led by healthcare professionals, and we have our evidence base of over 88 publications. And talking about our healthcare professionals, as I said, from the beginning of Oviva, we've always led with the healthcare first, the healthcare professional first. So leading with our expertise. You can see a few of our MDT names and faces there on the slide. And I'm proud to say that we have a phenomenal team of experts behind the scenes leading our Tier 3 service. And this is where our strength lies. So our care is led and delivered by our endocrinologists, our GPs, our obesity care coordinators, our psychologists, our dietitians, nutritionists and health coaches. And if I tally up the numbers there on the screen, we have over 350 of those individuals helping support all of our patients here at Oviva. So really that breadth of expertise, combining medical, psychological and nutritional care to make sure that our care is effective and safe at the same time. So moving on to our agenda. As I said, I'm going to just touch on very briefly why treat obesity. I think we're all on the same page on this call. So as we all know, obesity is not just about the weight on the scale. It is a major driver of long-term health conditions, and it is indeed a chronic health condition. So it accounts for 85% of type 2 diabetes. It's the second leading cause of cancer after smoking, and it contributes significantly to heart disease and stroke. And obviously, as we all know, there is a cost of that care and comorbidities to the NHS. And as per the 10-year plan, we should be focusing on prevention and treatment, because we know that prevention alone is not enough. We need timely, effective care in this arena of this complex condition. Very quick whistle-stop tour. Everyone knows these medications. So weight loss medications in the last few years, we've seen this transformation in how we're treating obesity with the approval of the GLP-1 medications, Saxenda, Wegovy, most recently Mounjaro, and with new opportunities, new agents on the horizon. Really what we want to focus on today, that yes, these medications are crucial in this treatment pathway, but they are not a silver bullet. And the care supporting the GLP-1 medications is crucial and essential. One interesting stat, which I hope is interestingly stat, is the scale of need is vast in this arena. Around 4.2 million people in the UK are eligible for GLP-1 treatment, yet the current capacity we have in our care and our pathways would take over 120 years to meet that demand. So without equitable access, there's a real risk of this two-tier system. So those that can afford care are receiving it. So the role of the NHS-backed programs is more critical than ever in this arena. I'm going to briefly touch on the key challenges here, but they're all ones we're far too familiar with. So even when patients can access treatment, challenges remain. So discontinue rates are high without that multidisciplinary support. Populations we see are often medically or psychologically complex. And I know Juliet is going to touch on some of the baseline demographic of the cohort that we're seeing coming through our programs and reaching out for care. And common side effects and weight plateaus over time need support and guidance. So this is really where nutrition, behaviour change and psychological support come in. So these elements are essential, not optional extras to programs to help people tolerate treatment, build habits, but most importantly, maintain long-term weight management and long-term health benefits. Which is going to tie in nicely to really what you're here to listen to, which is Juliet really focusing on how nutrition and lifestyle support can be and should be integrated into GLP-1 pathways, weight loss medication pathways, I should say, and about maximizing short-term outcomes, but also protecting those long-term health outcomes beyond the medication. So over to Juliet.
Thank you, Lucy. So at Oviva, as we mentioned already this morning, we provide a specialist, consultant-led, fully MDT Tier 3 service. And I think everybody here is probably quite familiar already with the 4 tiers of weight management services and support within the UK. This diagram just shows where we sit within this specialist Tier 3 service. And it's a really key area of focus right now with the weight loss medications that can form part of that specialist service, and also then that integration onto Tier 4 services as well, and how we support that move towards Tier 4, and also how we, with the best nutrition care, can support our patients to potentially manage their weight loss goals within the Tier 3 and prevent escalation to Tier 4 in some circumstances as well. So what do we do in order to achieve that? So as I mentioned, our Tier 3 service is fully multidisciplinary. You've already seen some of the key members of the MDT team and all of our amazing clinicians that work alongside. And we really need to take a holistic view of supporting our patients beyond weight loss medications and into all of the elements of lifestyle, including nutrition, physical activity, psychology, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But this first slide here just shows an overview of our Tier 3 weight management service and the different elements that are included within that. So we have personalised coaching, and I think that's absolutely key, is that every single patient receives an initial phone call with a specialist dietitian to help to understand their situation, their journey up until this point, any medical complexities, what their goals are, where they'd like to get to, and how we can best support them to get there. And every patient has an individualized plan in order to get there. And different approaches, from dietary approaches to lifestyle approaches, will suit different people. And that's absolutely key, is that we have that individualized, tailored support to every single person. And then we have that ongoing personalized coaching to the patient as well. So we set them up with that additional, that initial call, and then the ongoing personalized coaching through the entire program. So that's really important. And we'll talk today a bit more about some of the detail that's included within that personalized coaching, how we best support patients. And then alongside that, we can provide the prescription, the medical input, the side effect management, the dose titration, and then the off-ramping for GLP-1 or weight loss medications as well. But it's also really crucial to us at Oviva that we're not only providing weight loss management support for patients who are on medications, but actually also for patients who may not be eligible for weight loss medications or who may choose not to take that route as well. So we can talk about that today too. Psychological support is absolutely key to the support that we provide for our patients, and that can be in various forms. And we've got some insights that we can share with you today from our work from a psychological point of view with our patients too. But we carry out a triage of our patient group to assess for the requirement for psychology support, and we can provide psychology consultations for those patients who do require it. We've also got a lot of really great psychologically built content to support patients on a guided self-help pathway if they don't need appointments, but they do need the guided self-help support as well. Our digital tools and resources are behaviour change based on behaviour change theory, and encourage our patients to engage with the pathway throughout. And Lucy's going to talk a bit more about those later, so I won't go into detail on those today. And just to finally mention on this one that our pathway aligns to all of the relevant guidance, and we are CQC registered pathways. So when we're supporting patients on weight loss medications, we need to go beyond just the prescribing of the medication and just trying to achieve weight loss through the use of medication. So as Lucy mentioned, these treatments are not the solution in and of themselves, and it's absolutely crucial that we provide the wraparound care to translate any benefits gained from weight loss medications into long-term benefits, and also align with long-term behaviour change as well, because that's how we support our patients to improve their health in the long term, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do, beyond just reducing numbers on the scales. So what we want to do and what we do with our patients is really try and embed that behaviour change from the beginning and throughout the pathway, but also setting up for success with long-term habits and long-term behaviour change when they're reaching the end of their pathway with us as well. We want to support them to change their relationship with their foods, with their body, and often the weight loss medications give an opportunity to do that, because they can reframe how patients think about food and also help them to manage some of the challenges that they've experienced and give them some headspace to focus on a new relationship with food. So we can make use of that opportunity to support our patients really well with that. We also want to try and address those underlying psychological factors, the challenges with eating behaviours that have led to weight gain over time. Most of our patients in the Tier 3 weight management service come with some level of complexity, whether that's physical complexity, mental health complexity, difficult relationships with food, difficult experiences in the past, all of the above. And what we want to do is take this opportunity to really try and support our patients to build that healthier relationship with food going forward. So I mentioned the diet and lifestyle support and coaching that we provide. So we, as I mentioned, have that initial consultation for every patient, and that initial diet plan that can be adjusted as we go along as well. So although everybody has that individualized plan at the start of the pathway, that's very much adjustable throughout the pathway, and people do sometimes need to change their approach, and we don't take any one size fits all, this is the dietary approach we recommend at Oviva. It very much depends on the patient, what they need and what's going to fit in with their life and their goals as well. But this goes beyond also the nutrition side, and what we want to do is make sure that we're integrating all aspects of healthy lifestyle, and that includes exercise, which we'll talk a bit more about today as well. And as I mentioned, it's also really important that we have a robust pathway available to support patients who don't want to take the route of GLP-1 treatments, or who are not eligible for weight loss medications for whatever reason. And that still makes a significant cohort of our patients who join us. And all of those patients have exactly the same opportunity to access our initial consultations with the dietitian, our ongoing coaching, our psychology input, all of our digital resources that Lucy will tell you about later as well. And we'll support those patients really closely, understanding that they are often going to have a tougher time trying to get the weight loss figures down at the same time as tackling all of the same challenges that everybody on the pathway faces. So if we look a bit more specifically now at, from a nutrition point of view, how do we support our patients on our pathway? So I mentioned earlier that we don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. Everybody finds their approach that works well for them, but there are some guiding principles that work for many people when they're taking weight loss medications. And one of those, if we focus on those who are on weight loss medications, what we see from the impact of the medication is a reduced appetite. So that's essentially how the medication works. It reduces appetite, people feel less hungry and want to eat less food overall. However, what we often find also is that people have fewer cravings for the less healthy foods, for the foods that they often experience really strong cravings for and often really strongly associated with emotional eating in the past. They can often find it easier to move away from those foods and find their cravings really dampened down, and what patients call food noise often really reduced, which allows that focus on nutritional quality. It also allows us a focus to move away from restriction, and that is a big shift for a lot of people. So many people who are living with obesity and who join our service have lived with many, many years of the difficulties of living with obesity, of having tried everything, and of things only working very temporarily or not working at all. And that is a hugely difficult situation, and over the years can lead to a really difficult relationship with food, and that may be impacted by all kinds of experiences in their past as well. So most people have tried restrictive approaches. Most people have tried every restrictive approach that's available. They're used to counting systems, they're used to points, they're used to diets, and everything is very restriction focused. And now, because of the impact of the medication, it allows us to take a step back from those restrictive approaches and actually start focusing on nutritional quality and start focusing on about what's good about the food in front of you. What goodness can that bring you? How can we get enough protein? How can we get enough fiber here? What are the good sources of vitamins and minerals in this meal? And we can gradually make that mindset shift from restrictive approaches towards nutritional quality approaches. And that can be hugely positive and refreshing, and you are a huge mind shift for our patients, but also for our clinicians and our dietitians working with patients as well. It can be a really positive way to work going forward too. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's why we're here for 24 months supporting our patients from a nutritional point of view and on our pathway. So this isn't an easy shift to make, but it can be a really positive one to make. So what we want to do is try and see food as a valuable source of nourishment, and leave the cutting down and the restriction to the appetite reducing impact of the medication. And that's where it really supports. One of the key things that we provide education and support on is understanding the importance of protein. And we know that we can have an impact on reducing the loss of lean tissue loss during weight loss if we do optimize protein intake. So we do ask our patients to become protein aware, to make sure that they've got a protein source at each meal and what that means and what the portion size would look like. And you can see an image on the screen of the type of plate portions that we would recommend. And in most cases, we don't need to have protein supplements. So we're looking at food-based sources of protein. We're looking at getting that balance right on the plate. but also moving away from the empty calorie snacking approach to more nutritious snacks, protein-based snacks, high fiber snacks, and often the two of those can align as well. And what we find is that focus on protein often aligns really well with improving nutritional quality too. So, if you're adding extra chickpeas into your meal to get extra protein, you're also adding the iron, the fiber, the other benefits from those as well. So the nutritional quality aligns really well with that. Another role that we can take is supporting our patients is side effect management, and our dietitians can be excellent at that first line side effect management, which can often then prevent the escalation of side effects to our medical team too. So by taking that first line approach, we can prevent the side effects themselves from escalating too. So we can manage around the nausea and the fullness. We can look at meal timings, which foods to avoid, positioning after meals to support with that. And we do a lot of work around constipation management, which is one of the key side effects. And again, this aligns really well with nutritional quality because we can focus on making sure we've got those whole grains in, that we've got the pulses, which are great sources of protein as well, plenty of vegetables and fruit, and focusing on that fiber targets. And our digital tools support that. Lucy will tell you a bit more about that later too. Plenty of fluid and physical activity too. So that first line approach can often be incredibly useful. And these are some of the insights that we wanted to share from working with our many thousands of patients who've been through our pathway so far. And that most of our patients are really keen to make lifelong dietary changes. So people don't need convincing to want to change their lifestyle for the better. People want to improve their health, and often they want to make the most of the chance of having the weight loss medications. And the vast majority of people want to do the lifestyle, the dietary changes alongside that. And often people feel really positive actually at the possibility of having a treatment, which is for the first time in their life of a long journey, actually effective in supporting them to reduce their weight. That can be incredibly motivating to then go on and make the lifestyle changes too. But another insight that we've had is planning for medication offboarding is absolutely essential as well. So what we don't want to do is prescribe up until we stop prescribing and then leave our patients with nothing. So we start planning right from the outset of prescribing for what happens when you're going to stop the weight loss medications, and how we're going to manage the diet and lifestyle approaches around that, how we're going to manage your nutrition, how we're going to manage the psychological challenges around that too. As I mentioned, the effective weight loss that this achieves is hugely motivating and can become a really positive cycle as well, which is really encouraging and amazing to work with. And we've talked about the reducing restriction and the focus towards nutritional quality instead. Our MDT, our psychology, bringing in our dietetics, our amazing health coaches, the wider MDT, our medical team, prescriber team, everybody working together to support the patient is absolutely essential. And I think that's absolutely key to success. And these are some of the frequently asked questions that our patients bring to us. And I just wanted to share some of these with you and some of the support that we provide around these questions too, because it may be questions that your patients ask you as well. So patients sometimes ask about calorie restrictions. Should I count calories? Should I count other systems of, counting? And as I mentioned earlier, we want to move away from that. We want to move away from restrictive approaches and start thinking about nutritional quality in that relationship with food. So that's what we're trying to ease our patients towards, to move towards that better relationship with food. We do recommend that most patients who are on weight loss medications do take a vitamin and mineral supplement because of their reduced intake, and often with eating smaller volumes, it's then more challenging to get all of the nutrition that you need. But we don't tend to recommend protein supplements, and as I said earlier, we take a food-based approach to that, and most people are able to achieve that. We manage side effects, and that's a frequently asked question that we get. And then sometimes people do ask about their other conditions too, because people's history is complex, and our patient cohort is really complex. We'll talk about that today as well. And one of the amazing things about our specialist team is we have so much expertise in the team from working different areas, specialist dietitians from across all the different areas, which means that we can support around other conditions that patients have between our medical team, our dietitian, our psychology team too, so that we don't exclude patients unnecessarily when they're experiencing complexities of other conditions. Another really key area of focus is physical activity. So although we are focusing on nutrition, we actually take a very similar approach to physical activity around changing the relationship with physical activity. So instead of exercising or feeling you have to go to the gym because you need to burn a certain number of calories to try and get your weight down, and we know actually physical activity is for just reducing weight alone not particularly effective, we can start to change that relationship with physical activity and think about it not as you need to do X amount to lose X amount of weight, but actually by being active, it can improve your mood, it can improve your well-being, it can improve your blood pressure and these other aspects of your health. And particularly with a focus on strength and resistance training, we can help to really protect that lean muscle tissue during weight loss. We're also really mindful that our patients are, as I mentioned, complex, both from a psychological and a physical health point of view. And a lot of people have very little experience and a lot of apprehension around movement and physical activity. And we do start very small where required. We can start with chair-based exercises. We can build up to 5 minutes of gentle strength activity per day and build that baseline and build on it from there. And we also take a real focus on simply reducing sedentary time as well as increasing physical activity too. And all of these things can help to our patients to move in the right direction. It's a really key part of the treatment. And we're thinking here not about the numbers on the scales, but about the overall health and well-being of our patients. And then lastly, then looking at the holistic benefits beyond weight loss. So I mentioned the reduction in food noise that patients experience. This often is really helpful in tackling some of the challenges that they experience, such as emotional eating. It gives them the headspace to put the strategies in place to manage these challenges. And that helps to then set them up for success beyond weight loss medication as well, because they've had that time and headspace to build those strategies. Often we see those shifts in appetite that I mentioned, the change in food preference. Healthier foods become more higher preference for people, and that makes it easier to make healthy choices. It makes it easier to exist in the food environment that we all live in at the moment. And we do see that ripple effect in other areas too. So we often see people having a reduced drive towards alcohol consumption or smoking, and it makes cutting down on those aspects easier and more able to manage that as well. And we see the adoption of healthier coping mechanisms too. So all of these things and the risk of binge eating and emotional eating can be reduced too. And all of these can become this positive cycle where we see further benefits as the patient progresses. But it's really key that we provide that wraparound care to help to optimize all of the things that we've mentioned here. So with that, I'm going to hand back to Lucy, who's going to tell you a little bit more about our Oviva digital tools and how they support behaviour change.
Excellent. Thank you, Juliet. And as Juliet said, now that we've explored the clinical pathway and that importance of nutrition, exercise, behaviour change alongside the medication, I just want to touch on how we bring that to life through our digital tools here at Oviva. So Oviva Tech isn't just an add-on, it's really integral to how we deliver that care at scale while still keeping it personalised. So as you can see here, sorry, just going back a slide. Apologies, Juliet. Thank you. Our app is built using evidence-based behaviour change techniques, so BCTs, and crucially, it's been designed in hands with our patients at every step of the way. So user feedback, interviews, really making sure our features are hitting the spot of what people want and if they're working effectively to help them change their behaviour. We've also have a dedicated in-house team of over 100 product designers, engineers who work really closely in collaboration with our clinicians too. So our healthcare professionals really providing that guidance and insights into what our technology and our apps should look like. So that partnership really means we can move quickly from clinical insight to digital innovation and really importantly, making sure that the tools are safe, effective and clinically meaningful. Next slide, please, Julia. So here you'll see some of our app architecture. And as I said, at the heart of the app is the behaviour change theory. So we've built that around those BCTs, so behaviour change techniques, which are our building blocks. To date, there are 93 recognised BCTs in the full taxonomy within their 16 categories. It's important to flag that Not all of them are positive. So you wouldn't want to see a full house of those 93 being used in this arena in particular, because everyone has its own context of what is the right effective BCT at the right time in the pathway for the patient. So it's all about selecting the right ones. And I can say in our app, we had a write-up by NHS England a few years back. And one thing we keep with our logic models within our design is we've embedded over 35 BCTs that we know are effective for support of our long-term lifestyle change, including goal setting, planning, feedback, monitoring, those things that you can see there. And as I said, they're continuously tested and refined with patient feedback. As you can see here, the app is really designed to reduce the burden for patients. So it's really designed to be simple and easy to use. For example, we don't have calorie counting, but we have logging through taking pictures of your food. And then you have a nutrition compass that guides you throughout the day based on the World Health Organization healthy eating principles. So what percentage of your diet should be from protein and fiber, etc. And here's where AI really plays a key role that was evolved over the years. Previously, we used to use an algorithm and tagging, but now we use AI to really analyze and give us really rich data around that meal that we can then give patients instant feedback in the nutritional quality of their meals. So right there in that moment. And that really bridges the gap between those scheduled appointments with your human interaction, with your healthcare professional, making sure people feel supported every day. We know they're making choices throughout the day about their lifestyle and diet. And of course, our goal with AI isn't to replace the human element. It is there to complement it. So our clinicians guide the overall journey, while AI is really providing those practical little nudges in between to sustain progress. You'll see there from the statistics on the slide before that our Tier 3 weight management program, actually over 80% of people choose to go down our digitally supported pathway, i.e. using the app. Conversations still kick off with a telephone call with your healthcare professional, with your prescriber, with your dietitian, with your psychologist. And then thereafter the program, some people prefer to keep on a telephone journey. Others prefer to contact their coach and their dietitian, their psychologist, their prescriber within the app to have that conversation like a WhatsApp chat. As you can see, engagement remains high, particularly at the beginning. We have 85% engaging at the app at 4 weeks and people still engaging at the 12-week mark. What the app also provides, rather than just the instant feedback and those little nudges in between your human contact and interaction, as well as being that place where you can communicate with your healthcare professional, you can also visually see your progress as a patient. So they can see through their dashboards, their tracking of their meals, their activity, their weight and mood, all in one place. And again, AI enables immediate personalized feedback, but essentially our clinicians remain crucial. So our clinicians can step in, review, guide patients when they need it, as well as at their scheduled appointments, which I think is one of the questions I saw coming up in the chat that we can come to. So our model really is this AI plus human care, meaning we can scale support without losing that personal connection. And because our patients really are involved at every step of the way in our co-design, we ensure the tools feel supportive, not judgmental, and it's there to empower patients in their own health journey. I'm going to hand back over to Juliet to really show us, is it working? Is our model and our care and our support with our human and our digital tech working? But yeah, I don't know if there's a little bit of feedback there.
10-minute call for you guys.
Fabulous, thank you. Thank you, Juliet.
So what I'd like to tell you a bit more about now is who are our patients, what are their demographics, and what outcomes are they achieving within our pathway as well. So these are our demographics overall for our patients. We have an average age of 48, an average starting BMI of 47. So, you know, as I mentioned, that these are people living with a lot of the complexities of life with obesity. We have our highest percentage of patients coming from the IMD deciles. So that's the highest level of deprivation, deciles 1 to 3. So we've got around 33% of our patients come from those highest deprivation deciles. We're overrepresenting in that group, and really proud to be doing so as well, because this is allowing us to tackle some of the inequalities in access to specialist weight management services, to weight loss medications, to Around 13% of our patients report being unemployed, which is often a direct consequence of their health. 48% of our patients report living with anxiety or depression, which is often very much associated with living with obesity, and 29% of our patients report having a disability. So most of our patients have a level of challenge that makes it very difficult to work towards their health goals, but still achieve amazing things, as we'll see in a moment. So these are our clinical outcomes. So just overall, the number of patients we've now in our Tier 3 weight management service treated more than 23,000 patients. So building this huge amount of experience within this area. And then the outcomes that you can see on the screen here are based on our patients who are on our weight loss medication pathway, and our average weight loss at 12 months is just over 15%. So this is something that we're really proud to achieve, because keeping in mind the demographics that we've seen in the previous slide, this is the outcomes that are equivalent to what we've seen in the clinical trials for Wegovy, largely because until now that's the medication that we've been prescribing. It aligns with the outcomes in the Wegovy clinical trials, but actually with a more complex cohort of patients, and that includes the different types of complexities as well that our patients are living with. And we really believe that it's the provision of this really robust MDT wraparound care, nutritional care, physical activity, psychology, and all of those digital tools to support behavior change that really help us to optimize these outcomes. And these are just the numbers on the scales, and it goes far beyond the numbers of the scales in terms of the health impacts that our patients are seeing, but also the impacts on the quality of life that they're seeing too. But what we wanted to do is to make sure that we're sharing, demonstrating that the weight loss outcomes are being achieved too. One of the other outcomes that we've recently reported on as part of our internal research is we've looked at patients taking sick days from work as a result of their health. And we found that after 6 months of treatment on the pathway, that patients recorded 35% fewer sick days from work, and also we increased the number of proportion of patients who were taking no sick leave from 63% up to 76%. So there was a recent article in the Telegraph reporting on this as well, and we're happy to share the link for that with you if you want to see more on that. But hopefully this showcases the impact beyond just on the scales, but actually on the whole of life, but then also on the economic impacts of obesity and what we can do to tackle that too. This is what we wanted to finish on. So this is Catherine. Catherine completed our Tier 3 weight management service pathway. Catherine is from Sheffield, and she lost just under 15 kilograms on our pathway. And Catherine is the reason, Catherine and all the other thousands of people like her is the reason why we do what we do. And what she found and reported was not just the reduction in her weight, but an improvement in her quality of life. And she really valued the opportunity to have support from our psychologist, who helped her to tackle her relationship with food and make those long-term changes. So it's not just the short-term weight loss that she's achieved. So that she's feeling stronger, she's feeling more positive, and she's feeling determined to keep going too. And I think that really showcases the importance of that wraparound care. So we do have a video of Catherine's story, which we're not going to play just now, being mindful of time, but we can share the link for that with you, and I would encourage you to have a look too. And hopefully that sums up everything that we've said today. If you are interested in referring your patients to Oviva, it differs across the different ICBs, so I won't go into the detail in this today, but you can find all the detail that you need to on our website, and there are various different routes of referral, and we've set this up to be as easy as possible for you to refer the patients that you need to us. So please reach out if you have any questions. Also have a look on our website, and hopefully all the guidance that you need will be there too. So that summarizes all of what we wanted to cover on the slides, and hopefully allows for a little bit of time for us to take any questions that you have today as well.
That's wonderful. Excellently done. Finished dead on time for some questions. Thank you. What a fascinating talk. So you've answered a few bits and pieces as we've gone along, but I suppose we'll start with the referral process. So is Oviva available in Scotland, somebody asks?
Very good
So,
question, Juliet.
yeah, so we have had some tier 3 services in certain contract areas in Scotland that we've been really proud to be able to provide. But our route through the patient choice legislation, which allows patients across all of England, across all the ICPs in England, to access our service, is unfortunately not available in Scotland because that legislation doesn't apply in Scotland. But we are certainly interested in providing services within Scotland, and certainly happy to talk to anybody in that area who's interested in discussing it further.
Brilliant. There's another question here. I'm going to bundle them together. So one is, is this entirely sort of remote, or is there an in-person offer to see patients face to face? And then I suppose following on from that, with the coaching and psychological support, is this sort of numerically limited, time limited, or is it for as long as an individual patient might need it in general?
I can take that one. So in terms of the length of the pathway, so our pathway is 24 months in length for those patients who are on our medication pathway, and that's because the NICE prescribing TA for Wegovy, which is the one we follow at the moment, allows us to prescribe for up to 24 months. So we've aligned the pathway to make sure we provide that wraparound care throughout that time. At the end of the pathway, then the patient finishes the pathway, but crucially, they continue to have access to all of the digital tools that Lucy's outlined today. So as well as making sure we're setting up our patients for long-term success and doing that planning towards the end of the pathway, we'll also support them around titration down of their weight loss medication, if that's a route that they want to take, and also make sure we're providing them with those long-term tools as well. And then to answer that first part of the question around face-to-face care, so at the moment, all of our care is done remotely, and we find that to be the most effective way to do that. And we do provide a choice of phone calls. There's the app coaching that Lucy mentioned, but we can set up video calls for patients who would like to see our team face-to-face as well. And some patients with additional needs really benefit from having those video calls too. What we find with remote care is people engage really well with it. It's often much easier to access than getting to a certain place for appointments at a certain time. And so we find that the uptake and the engagement with remote care is good. And I think that's because our team do remote so well, you know, that they're experts in building up that relationship with our patients in that remote setting. We've had a lot of experience doing that, which really helps. So if you want to add anything, Lucy.
Answered it beautifully. Thanks, Julia.
I mean, thank you so much. I mean, so actually the next question sort of tags onto that a little bit, because you mentioned that you've got, was it 24 months of prescribing? Somebody's asked, should you stay on a GLP-1 for life? Is that a thing that is potentially, you know, maybe not within the realms of service, but should one stay from GLP-1 for long term?
I think, Juliet, you can jump in. I think the first wave of GLP-1s are semaglutide. So our Wegovys and Saxenda, NICE very much said it was a 24-month prescription window. Obviously, with the newer medications like tirzepatide coming out saying that is not the case. I mean, it is very much a clinical and patient decision about where to go next. Have they got the right support to continue on the medication? Have they got the right tools in place if they want to come off the medication? Are they tolerating it well? So I think the guidance kind of gives us this different landscape depending on what medication you're on. Is that an option to be on it lifelong or not? But I also think it's very much patient choice and that conversation with clinician, understanding that the road is difficult when you come off the medication. So at the moment, we're really focusing on supporting patients with what we call offboarding, off-ramping. So really following that journey, and I hope we have more data and evidence in the coming months to really report back on this. But Julia, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about any of that, the patient insights on the off-ramping journeys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I think when we've done that initial insight seeking with our patients around off-ramping and asking the question as to, if you were given the choice, would you want to maximize the time on the medication and then have an abrupt stop? Or would you like to have that titration down and that gradual reduction with the wraparound care to really support you with that? Most people have said that they would like to have that gradual reduction with the support to manage that. And And most people are really keen to implement those strategies to try and optimize their success as well during that time when they're stopping the medication. So it's such a changing landscape, isn't it, just now with weight loss medication. It's very, very difficult to predict where we'll be in a year or 2 years' time in terms of other options for patients at the end of their treatment period. But I think for us, it's that key element of having that support. Whichever option works for the patient, we need to have that wraparound support for them.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry because I could listen to this for a long time. So unfortunately, we've run out of time. But thank you so much for your time today. I've learned a huge amount. Thank you to everybody for your questions. Really fascinating. Hopefully, this is exciting time for weight loss. Thank you very, very much. And we've got another session coming up very soon. So I will bid Juliet and Lucy goodbye, and I'll see everybody very shortly in the next session.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.